Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. This is it.
This is Top Flight Time Machine. I am Andy Hotbody Dawson. Pow, pow, pow.
I'm Sam Nifty Delaney. So what?
Welcome along, if you must, to the Friday morning episode of Top Flight Time Machine. You get it Thursday evening. If you are IFS, we're recording it on Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, quite civilised. And can
not?
I just tell you, just for a bit of context, because this is not one of our visualised episodes, which are now available, by the way. We now have
in Vision. Yeah,
a few times a month you can tune in to see our visualisation technology on YouTube, which is I believe it's like a video platform. Is that right?
I think it's like, it shows cartoons mostly. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a cartoon website.
It's like a cartoon website, but we're on it too. And I've tidied the Vita Modular, mate, for the first time, I'm ashamed to admit, in a long time. But the other day, my good wife came in here and she said she found it sickening. Right? It had not
like a teenager's bedroom, is it?
Yeah, it was a bit. And like the dog comes in quite a lot. And as I've described before, the dog finds bits of wood that it kind of shreds using its jaws and then scatters everywhere. I've got a couple of plants in there because it's good for you to have plants in a room, right? And but the dog, as you know, I think you've seen her do it while we're recording. She likes to run in and just get all the. She's like this. Got some plants, have you? Very nice. Think they're cleansing the air in your little office, do they? Yeah, we'll see about that, cunt. And she just gets in it, and she just fucking chucks the earth everywhere. Everywhere. She scatters it and she runs off laughing. And so, it's been over summer, as you know, the fatal error I made in getting this very expensive Vita Modular was that it is literally impossible to step foot inside between the months of June and August, right? That's a quarter of the year. Quarter of the year, it's out of bounds, mate. Yeah. It's that insufferably hot.
You can grow tomatoes in it and that's it.
Oh, and
you can grow cucumbers and then pickle them.
Oh, yeah, good idea. I might just turn it into my pickle plant. Might just be my pickle plant. Fuck podcasting in there. But, yeah, it was in a fucking state. Anyway, I've given it, just before we started recording, I've just completed a pretty thorough tidy, hoover and sterilisation. And I don't know, man, it's put me in it's very cathartic, isn't it? A big tidy up. Big tidy.
Good. I like a big tidy. I don't do it enough. And it feels good afterwards when everything looks lovely.
A little tidy's all right, but it feels like a hassle. But sometimes, and this is just maybe a character flaw I have, but it's almost like I like things to get a bit almost out of hand, because then the satisfaction of fixing it, of doing a big, it feels extra special.
That's possibly quite an insight into your psyche, maybe. So.
I think it is. I was thinking about it as I was doing it. I was thinking I'm like that. It's the way that like we've worked. Like when I'm, when any of the books I've done, like I've always, I kind of tend to like leave it not too late. I will hit my deadline, but I leave it sort of slightly later than what I don't like is, or what I don't do well is routine and consistency. I find them quite Lampardish. Right, but I know, honestly, I know it's a flaw in me, but it's the same thing with this. It's like it builds up, it gets messy, and then suddenly I'll get a burst of energy and I'll go blam, and after you've done a blam, you look around and it's like one of those programs that they used to do. Maybe they still do them. When they do a makeover on your house or on you. Well,
the queen of that is Stacey Solomon and her current series, Sort Your Shit Out, on BBC One.
Is that what it's called? That's brilliant.
Something like that. Yeah, and she goes to people who are hoarders, basically, who've let it get completely out of control. And she gets everything out of their house, and they've got this massive industrial unit, and they lay it all out on the floor.
And they go, you silly cunt, look at the state of this. Yeah.
You get the entire contents of a house, filling up the floor of this industrial unit.
Fuck.
And she goes through them and gets them to organise things into stuff we can throw away, stuff we can recycle for charity, stuff you want to keep.
Yeah.
And then they gradually they talk to them about what the problem is and how they've got into that situation, and and how they can make everything. And there's a bit of a kind of a home improvement thing as well, because they've got a team who'll come in and build new storage and all this kind of thing and solve any problems they've got in the house. It's a holistic approach Let's say. It is fucking brilliant telly.
Yeah, well, it's a bit like that. Did you ever read any of that Mary Kondo book that became very famous?
I was aware of it. I didn't read it, though.
Yeah, I downloaded it once. I never read the whole thing, but I read, the first chapters. It's very easy to take the mickey out because it's got like some daft concepts in there, like hold something, does it bring you joy? Although that quite appeals to me. I do it all the time, mate. That's why you hear me tapping. I'm thinking to myself, I'm just going to pick that bit of plastic up and just quickly check if it brings me joy. And I'll pick it up and I'll look at it, look at that, and I'll think, well, this particular piece it's like a rubber washer.
Right, yeah. How's that got there?
I don't know, but that is obviously some sort of device in my room is missing a washer and will soon collapse.
Does it make a noise?
Well, it's quite good, Andy, because it's rubber. It's not. Quiet. I'm tapping it now. You can sort of hear it, but it's not like a hard tap. This actually does bring me joy, so I'm going to keep it over there.
We'll see if that's in the edit. The noise of that.
Okay, so yeah, but the whole that book and the Stacey Solomon show you're describing, there is something wonderfully cathartic, isn't there?
To finish off what I was saying, and it's Stacey Solomon. So what's not to love?
I know. Do you remember when we got as a spontaneous guest on TalkSport?
We did. She was just in the office. We got her in, didn't we?
And she was great, wasn't she? She was so good.
She just went out. Whatever. I'll do that.
Just went out and said, Stacey, she was waiting to go on Talk Radio, and we were doing TalkSport. I said, Stacey, will you come in and talk about football? She said, I don't know anything about football. I said, don't worry about that. We'll just have a bit of fun. And she came in and she was absolutely wonderful, wasn't she?
I don't know who you are, but I'll do that.
Yeah, she was absolutely great.
There's a quite a bit that's gone viral, I think, on TikTok during this series, where everything's chaotic during this ongoing process they're doing with this family in this house.
Yeah.
And Stacey's just sitting on the floor and she's eating a sandwich and she just goes, "Oh, you know, sometimes during the day when you just have to stop and have a sandwich."
Oh, I know. Yeah. I fucking know, Stacey.
She's brilliant.
That is great. Yeah, she's a national treasure, isn't she?
She is.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's my tidy office. Yeah. Just giving you. I wanted to set the scene both for you and the listeners to know that I am broadcasting from a fresh, clean, studio environment.
Well, on Sunday evening, if you're at IFS Turbo, we do a monthly live video stream thing where the listeners, viewers, as they are, can join in with questions and things like that. And we're going to be doing that this Sunday, 8:15 p.m. I reckon. By the time we get the episode recorded before that and everything, that sound all right to you?
That sounds all right to me. Sunday night. What else are you going to do? What's on at 8:15? South Bank show and Spitting Image in it on a Sunday.
Heartbeat's on at 8. So that's outstayed its welcome. So
get on Nick Berry
instead.
Yeah.
Shall we do the thing you do on your Reset live stream where we get people to come on screen and talk as well? We can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. We've done that before on Top Flight Time Machine.
It was tricky, but then the way you did it the other day when I joined in impromptuly, you just put the link out for everybody, and if they wanted to be in the waiting room to join in, they could click on. There's a join in link and there's a voyeur link where you just watch only.
You can just watch.
We'll just put both links out.
If you want to watch and touch yourself.
No, please.
Don't do that.
Don't come on and be a cunt. Just because we'll just stop it. Don't spoil it for everyone. But
don't try and. What I don't like is I don't like it when people come on and try to dominate.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
Yeah, when they try and usurp us, comedian.
Yeah, it's just like, come on, tell us a little story. Maybe like that guy once who had a round window in his house. That was good. He came in, we saw his round window, we asked him about it, and then he fucked off.
He hadn't even come on about the round window. He'd come on about a guitar or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. But our job is to spot the little details, and that was a detail that we were fascinated by.
Would you like a cat update from my world, Sam?
Yes.
I've briefly told you about what's been going on, but I haven't given you the full story in our off-air conversations. Round at my ex-wife's house, where my kids live for part of the time, they have 4 cats. And for me, the best thing about being in a cordial friendship, relationship, parenting, co-parenting thing with my ex-wife is that I get to go and visit the cats. And I love all 4 of the cats. Beyond all reason, they are brilliant. We know about Branbury, who I've talked about before, who is the talking cat, He'll come into a room and go, hello. We've dealt with Branbury. There's also Sapphire and Herbert, and there is also Bonnie. Bonnie is the kitten, and I think I talked about Bonnie when she came along a couple of years ago. She gets called the kitten. She's 2.5 now. Now, Bonnie went missing weekend before last. Didn't come home for 2 nights. Very worrying. The cats do this, obviously. Sometimes they'll disappear, they'll come back. You know, the cats belong to no one. They do their own thing. But she'd never been missing before. She come back after 2 days, and she eventually came back, and she was limping really heavily on her back leg, right hand side, limping really badly. So got her sorted with a vet's appointment the next day, and the vet did an X-ray, had a look, and dislocated hip. So
yeah, that I mean, that's sad, but at the same time, my first instinct would be, fucking hell, that sounds expensive.
And I'll also mention that my ex-wife doesn't have any of the cats insured.
Yeah, well, I learned that lesson when I mean, now my dog and cat are insured up the arse.
Yeah.
Because I learned the hard way when Nelson got his tail smashed in. Cost a fucking fortune in lockdown.
Yeah. What happened again with his tail? Was it repaired? Was it?
It was repaired. But it was like it was a prolonged situation where they first stitched it and then they realised, like when they realise, oh fuck, it hasn't healed properly.
Yeah.
I can't remember, maybe they re-broke it or something. It was actually all catalogued on this podcast, so I'll have to listen back. But I was in and out of there like a fucking maniac, and every time it was just like handing over more and more money.
Yeah.
And
did you have to go to tail physio in the end?
No. In the end, he had another after that. I thought at one point it was so bad. I thought, fuck, he might die. I thought he might die of tail.
Dying from tail.
Was he dead of tail?
Yeah.
Right. And I thought, it sounds far-fetched, but I thought the trauma of it, because it was a huge amount of trauma to get your tail smashed full blast in a gust of wind by a big fucking back door. That is. It was bad, and he was in and out, and his mental health suffered, and I thought, he's a gonorrhea. But once we'd spent all the money and he got rehabbed, he had another, that was in the first year rehab, so he had another two solid years. We had 2 solid years value out of old Nelson.
Yeah.
And,
to get back to it, a dislocated hip. Expensive. Booked in for surgery 2 days later, quarter the price. I won't tell you how much it was, for the sake of my ex-wife's dignity. I won't tell you how much it was. But booked in. So she goes in first thing on the Wednesday morning to get her hip, her leg put back into the hip socket.
Yeah.
The vet said they could have done it if she'd been there on the day, because it would have been fresh, but it had started to heal. The bone had started to join to the hip bone on the outside, so they couldn't just pop it back in. Do you know what I mean? It started to fuse into the bone, so they had to shave some of the bone off the top of the femur and then insert it back into the hip, and new muscle now needs to grow around it. They
fucking charge by the minute, these vets, as well.
Again, I'm not going to dwell on how much it cost, because heartbreaking. But so halfway through the day, my ex gets a phone call to say, operation's going well, but we've had a proper look at her, and her tail has begun to die.
Oh no!
So we don't know what's happened. We can only assume she's been hit by a car. That's
and it's cut off the blood flow to the tail. That is what they were worried about with Nelson. Yeah, they were worried about that. Luckily, he swerved it.
We think she spent those 2 nights away in a bush or in a shed or somewhere, just unable to get back home. It took her 2 days to get the strength and courage to come back home. She's just been in such pain. So she's under the knife. The tail is dying. The tail has to be amputated.
Oh my God.
So the hip gets replaced. Luckily, they threw in the amputation for free.
Seriously?
That was nice. That was a nice touch.
Did they say, look, we were there anyway?
I think so, yeah.
because the anaesthetic is one of the most expensive things.
Yeah.
So they're like, we've already got her under. There's no point waking her up, then asking you for permission, then putting her under again.
Yeah.
Let's just chop it off now.
Well, that's the thing. They rang up mid-operation and said, look, the tail's fucked. We're gonna have to take it off. What do you reckon?
Just got to give us verbal consent over the phone now.
Yeah. We are recording this call. Don't worry.
Quick as you like. A simple yes. Cut his tail off. Cut her tail off. It will be sufficient.
Dave, put your voice recorder on. I'll put it on speakerphone. We need to get hear her say yes to the tail.
No, what's that? Oh, apparently you've got to be much more specific. You've got to go, yes, please cut my cat Bonnie's tail off.
ASAP.
Because if not, we could have faked it. We could have used a deep fake.
So
fucking hell.
So hip, leg realignment, tail amputation, and it all goes fine. And she's back home, and she's living in a cage until Friday.
Am I living in a cage? Am I living in a fucking cage?
She's not happy about living in a cage.
No, fuck. The thing is, what I'm worried about is the cat's mental health, because it has had one trauma after another. Trauma 1, hit by a car. Trauma 2, living wild in a bush for 2 days. Trauma 3, going to the vets and having massive surgery. Trauma 4, at least I'm back home, I can put it all behind me. No, mate, you're living in a cage for a while now. Fucking hell.
Oh, yeah, and put this cone on as well. With the cone's been on twice, and she's took it off both times, so the cone's not working. So,
Nelson kept having to get bigger and bigger cones, and in the end, he had a cone that was made for a small dog.
A cone made of steel.
Yeah.
So the update is, I thought I'd just share this with you because lots of the listeners love cats. You love cats. I love the cats. And I thought it was something we should talk about. And
I'm sorry that you and the whole family have had to go through it. I mean, it rocked us badly. Because cats are resilient, right? They are resilient creatures, more so than dogs, right? And they play it cool, and they can get through that. And I saw that with Nelson. But actually, I remember for the 4 of us in my house, it was like, we were really fucking anxious about the cat. You know, first for like whether it was going to live, but then after that, you just feel like awful for it. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit traumatizing for you.
Jalapeño.
Here's a brief but annoying message to let you know that you wouldn't be hearing this brief but annoying message if you were a subscriber to our Iron Filing Society Patreon offering.
For the price of a pint and a St Clement's each month, you can get up to 4 episodes a week, 9 months before the rest of the world gets them. Early access to regular episodes, lots of other marvellous benefits, and there's absolutely no adverts or brief but annoying messages like this that'll get right on your tits.
Find out more and subscribe now at tftimemachine.com/ironfilings.
Jalapeño. Jalapeño.
The best thing about it is that she's 2.5 and she's young and she's fit.
Yeah,
and
so that makes it, again, when you're looking at value as well. Not to be mean. But after you spent that money, if the cat was on its last legs anyway, you'd be like, fuck me.
Hey,
my
ex-wife said she wouldn't have done it with the other ones. The other ones were like between 8 and 11.
All due respect, and the cat, and in a way, it might have been fairer to like not do with an older cat, because an older cat might take longer to like get better, and it might make their quality of life really poor. But this cat can now. What we all want to know is, and I say this with complete respect for the cat, but have you seen it with no tail?
Yeah. I'm round there most days. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I'm getting to that.
Okay, good. Good. That's the money shot in this conversation.
I've got photographs, but I will not publish them because it's not fair to anybody.
No, it's not fair.
Her back end has been almost completely shaved, so they could operate on the
shaved
hip
arse thing. Yeah.
And then obviously around the tail area has been shaved as well. So what she's got now is, I mean, the back leg. It looks like a chicken leg. I'll be honest. It looks quite enticing. If it was detached and cooked,
it
would look
cat's leg. Come the apocalypse, we probably will be having to eat cat's legs. So get used to the idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In other countries, etc., etc. So she's got that shaved bit, and then the tail is what I can only describe as a chode.
Yeah.
It's about 3-4 inches long, the bit that's left. And it still wags.
Oh.
Which is
Now,
weird.
What role in a cat's existence does the tail play? It
helps them balance, apparently.
Right.
But it also helps send a message to other cats.
Right.
A wagging tail can be an act of aggression.
Is it a transmitter? Does it transmit data?
I believe that all cats talk to each other psychically anyway.
Yeah.
I'm certain of this.
And I think they do that. I think the tail is like a transmitter, you have
and antenna.
Antenna, so it receives and broadcasts information.
Yes, I'm certain of this. There's no reason why this shouldn't be the case.
So that means Bonnie is now pretty much cut out of the
She's
cat.
mute.
What I call the cat wide web.
She's mute. She's got nothing. Can't speak.
Can't transmit data. Can't
hear.
receive data.
All she can do is listen to humans now, which is no fun at all.
Which she'll no doubt find extremely boring.
Pathetic.
Because they find humans and their absurd little concerns and preoccupations so tedious and trivial, don't they?
Yeah. So there she is with her little tiny chode, wagging backwards and forwards now and again, and limping about when she comes out of the cage for a bit of yard exercise, let's call it, because she's only confined to the one room that the cage is in. So she comes out to stretch her leg now and again, and then goes back in the cage. So, but she's recovering though. She's getting there. Everything's going to be all right.
Do you reckon cats sometimes see us slumped in front of the telly, maybe having a cup of tea and snack and watching TV, and the cat thinks, "What the fuck are they doing? Why are they sat there looking at that thing?
Yeah.
Right. Why are they doing that? Why don't they get a grip on what life's really about? Walking about, right? Eating food,
getting up on fences." Or walls.
Getting up on things.
Getting up high and having a look at stuff.
Finding nice warm places to nap. Yeah. This is what life, this is what existence is. Not sitting on something and looking at an electric box at people doing other things.
What are you doing that for? You could be out capturing a mouse or a bird and torturing it to death.
Why don't you get some fresh air? Why don't you get yourself up on a fence? I'm getting some new fencing actually, Andy, because the fence at the back of my garden's pretty much collapsed, and I had to, last year when we got the dog, my good wife said, listen, there's a big hole in the fence and it could actually get out into the neighbour's garden, and we could, and who knows, maybe that neighbour's got a hole in their fence and then they could go several gardens away. So you got to fix that. I said, don't worry, I'll fix that, right? But what I did was, and I'd forgotten, is that I'd just got some garden furniture, such as a fold-down table, some deck chairs and whatnot, and I'd just carried them up the back of the garden, and I'd just arranged them in front of the hole.
Cover the hole. That'll do.
In the spirit of, that'll do for now, until I work out how to fix a fence, which obviously I don't know, but I will YouTube it or something like that. Well, since it's got much, much worse. And the problem is there is so many foxes around here, it's unbelievable. And the foxes come and goad the dog, and the dog goes berserk, which I can understand. Right? The fox sticks its head. I saw it the other night, stuck its head through the fucking hole like this. All right, cunts? Right? Just popping in to say hello. Just old Foxy popping by. And the dog goes, I can't get out of my fucking garden. Right? And he goes, all right, calm yourself down, sweetheart. Yeah. Oh, you do yourself a mischief. You send your fucking blood pressure through the roof. Oh, what's the matter? I'm only sticking my head through the hole in your fence to have a look. You don't need to get your knickers in a twist and get all unnecessary. Fuck off! Get out of my fucking garden, you fucking fox cunt! Right. Then the cat gets involved. The dog won't actually go and confront it. The cat does.
I'm getting strong rhubarb and custard vibes here.
Yeah, the cat does. The cat kind of strolls over quietly and doesn't make as much of a fuss. But
what's
the cat,
about then?
Yeah. What's the matter? Oh, is it a fox? Here, stand out the way. And she just goes, he goes, and fucking swiped his paw at the fox. Excellent. And the fox was like, whoa. And the dog was just sort of cowering behind the cat going, I'll fucking kill you. Right, and but anyway, this fox situation, the other thing they do is they walk along the top of the shed in the neighbour's garden. We have a garden to the rear. There's a shed. The shed goes over the height of our fence, and the fox likes to walk along the shed, right, and look at us. Yeah, look at us, right, and go, all right, cunts, right. And the dog goes fucking berserk, right. So I said, right, I've had enough of this. I'm just going to get the fence men round, and I'm getting them to install a whole new fucking fence across the back. It's going to be great, right? I can't wait. Yeah. I don't know. It'll probably be pricey, but you know, this is about home security, Andy. Do you know what I mean? It's a good investment, isn't it? A good solid fence, right?
It is, and also winter's coming. So if it's on its last legs now, this winter,
it'll get blown down.
We're getting more winds, aren't we? It's going to fuck it right up.
It's going to fuck it up. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting. I'm thinking of actually getting 3 fence quotes, right? And choosing the best one, which I feels like a Dawson type logistical thing to do.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I'd do, yeah.
Triple quote, right? The triple quote manoeuvre.
To me, the personal recommendation from someone you trust can often trump the quote.
The triple quote.
If you've got someone you know,
I've got some gardeners who I've used for other things. Like they're the same people who've done the tree surgery who I made friends with, and they've been very reliable. They're not super cheap. I'm wondering whether I could get a cheap quote. But anyway, I was sitting this morning, the whole family having breakfast. So we were talking about it. I said, "Yeah, I'm going to get a new fence because She said, "You've still just got a barrier that you've made out of loads of garden furniture." And by the way, she said, all summer we didn't have enough garden furniture because you'd fucking used it all to create some sort of shit fucking blockade at the back of the garden. So we were sharing like one deck chair between 4 of us, right? And I was like, don't worry about that, sweetheart. I'm getting a nice new fence put in, right? And she's going, well. Anyway, the fox, and I said, and that'll stop the dog barking and all. She went, don't be silly. The fox will still walk along the top of the shed on the other side of the fence. I said, yeah, well, I'm going to get a fucking extra tall fence that's taller than the shed. And then the fox won't be, so I want to get an outsized fence, Andy, that's like super high. She said, don't be daft. The foxes can get up and balance on a fucking fence, no problem. I was like, well, maybe they can, maybe they can't. Should they can, I've seen it done. And I said, but if there's a shed there to walk along, they will walk on that. It's easier. They're not like circus performers who are going to get up and prance along a fucking thin like fence just to show off and antagonise the dog. That's not their agenda. Their agenda is just to go about their business, looking for food, seeing what garden they can nick into without hassle. They take the path of least resistance. They find it funny to wind the dog up, but are they going to go as far as go, right, I could walk along, I'm going from A to B, I could walk along this nice flat shed roof, but then I wouldn't get to see that dog. So in fact what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump up high onto this extra high fence so that fucking human, that bald human who lives in that house, right?
I think he lives in the house because he's got this other little house in the garden. He lives there quite a lot.
Sometimes he's in there. He's a fucking weirdo. He's a weirdo, but he appears to have some sort of jurisdiction over that zone, right? And he's installed a giant fence because he's an idiot, right? And just to stick one up him and his fucking stupid dog, I'm going to fucking get up on the top of the fence and dance along the top of it. Just so they'll all be awake at night from their mad dog having a fucking shit fit over me. So we'll have to see. But me and my wife disagreed strongly about it. But yeah, tall fence is something that I'll be looking into.
Is there not some kind of like building regulations about how high your fence can be? I think
interesting question.
There's a limit about how high your fences are allowed to be. I'm not sure.
That's an interesting question, but it is something to do because we had the same thing when we got the Vita Modular built. There was a height regulation, and it had to be no higher than
a giant's hand.
Yes, it's an old
Something
law.
like that.
It's an old law, right, from olden times that still exists, and it's like it's something like
giant's outstretched hand.
Yeah, and that was like more of like an official measurement back in the old days. So. Yeah, so it's something like that. But I think as long as it's not too much higher than the Vita Modular, we'll be all right.
Yeah, that's the fence chat. We've run out of time. We've got some predictions to do in a minute. And there was stuff we were going to talk about, but we'll save it for
Monday.
Live video stream. No, Sunday night.
Oh, okay. Well, there's some hot news stories that we need to address that have been making waves this week. So if you're Turbo, tune in on Sunday night because it's going to be a topical show.
Well, we'll reveal what they are. There is Matt Hancock being grilled by the SAS.
Yeah.
Which was a marvellous piece of television.
Yeah.
There was a news story involving a pilot, I think you were going to talk about.
Yeah, it's a pilot. He snorted cocaine off of a stripper's boobs and then flew a jumbo jet across the Atlantic.
Strong Billy bullshit vibes there. Bullshit. We'll talk about that.
The amount of text I read, that was there was a front page of the Mirror and it says pilot snorts coke off of stripper's boobs and then flies jumbo jet. And I can't tell you the number of texts I received from various people, friends past and present yesterday, with a picture of that front page and simply the word legend written underneath it. Which was very juvenile. Very, very juvenile. But it seems to be most people's response. But we'll be giving our responses on Sunday night.
I'll tell you what I'm doing on Saturday as well. I'm meeting up with some pals. We're going to do a thing we're going to call Hike Club.
Oh.
And we're going to go for a 10-mile walk around the countryside on Saturday.
That's a fucking beautiful idea, mate.
That might generate
How many of you will it be?
There's going to be 4 of us, I think, in this first one. Maybe
Superb.
5. So that might generate some content.
Yeah.
It might be that I might not be able to do the live video stream on Sunday evening as a result of it, but we'll see.
If you've turned, make sure you're wearing stout shoes.
Yeah, I've got some walking boots. I'll be all right, I reckon, as long as I just keep walking and don't fall off a ravine or hill or something like that.
Yeah, don't try and act like a fox and start doing anything dangerous.
Forward rolls, don't roly polies or anything like that. Just you keep it simple. So there's that. Live video stream Sunday night, turbo only, upgrade or perish. Predictions, Sam, very quickly. I know it's a big weekend for West Ham, but we'll come to that in a minute. First of all, we've got Manchester United versus Crystal Palace. What do you reckon?
Manchester United versus Crystal Palace. I think that will be 1-0 to Manchester United.
I think that Manchester United will win this one 2-0. Results bot says 1-0 to everything. Everton versus Luton. Everton have got to win this, I think. I'm going to go 2-0.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to mirror you there, I'm afraid, and say 2-0.
Right, that's fine. Just predict what you feel. West Ham United versus Sheffield United. The Carlos Tevez.
The Carlos Tevez game.
Legal action derby.
And always very high stakes for us because, of course, there's always the chance that if we win the game, Sheffield United will later take us to the highest court in the world. Yeah. They bring their lawyers to sit in the dugout during the game. It's amazing. I've never seen that. Yeah. Barristers too, in full gown and wig.
With binoculars.
Binoculars. Yeah. They have Sheffield United have the like legal teams. It's like, don't know if you remember like the OJ Simpson, the People versus OJ Simpson. He had that huge super legal team that they assembled like a super group. That's what Sheffield United have. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it's simpler if we just lose, because then we won't have to suffer the financial consequences.
Maybe it's worth it,
if there's a disputed throw-in, like foul throw, court action.
I think they only I think Sheffield United only name like 4 subs, don't they? And the other 5 on the bench are their lawyers. They're actually named as substitutes.
Yeah. They choose to have lawyers. Yeah. I think we'll win this 3-0.
I'm going to mirror you there as well. I think you will win 3-0. Yeah. Friday night. On Sky, Sheffield Wednesday versus Sunderland. I think we will win this 2-1.
Was this a playoff semi-final about 2 years ago or a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
I remember watching that. It was a good game. It's at Hillsborough, is it? I'm gonna say 1-0.
Okay. And then Newcastle United versus Burnley, finally.
Newcastle are doing pretty well at the moment. They've hit a bit of form. I'm gonna say 2-0 Newcastle.
I'll go 3-1 Newcastle. So there we go. That's the predictions. That's the episode. Yeah, that's it. I'll be back after the weekend, unless you're tuning in on Sunday evening at 8:15 for the live video stream. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.